Good afternoon on what is a cold, grey and cloudy day. It is Sunday the 19th of January and I'm in the reading up with a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. What I've got in here is a copy of Nuclear War, a Scenario by Annie Jacobsen, and this is the Baillie Gifford Prize for Non-Fiction 2024 shortlisted book, and I picked it up because I thought it would be interesting, sort of like I'd take an interest in sort of like not necessarily nuclear war, but sort of like the politics around it, and you know, because I suppose the post-apocalyptic possibilities as well, and the horror of that, certainly when I come to my sort of like my gaming, as it were. So the first rule of nuclear war is that there are no rules. Until now, no one outside official circles has known exactly what would happen if a rogue state launched a nuclear missile at the Pentagon. Second by second and minute by minute, there are real-life protocols that choreograph the end of civilization as we know it. If a single nuclear missile is launched, it could provoke dozens in return. Frantic calls over secure lines work to confirm the worst as armoured helicopters are scrambled outside. Decisions that affect hundreds of millions of lives need to be made within 6 minutes, based on partial information in the knowledge that once launched, nothing is capable of halting the destruction. Because the plans for general nuclear war are among the most classified secrets held by the United States government, this book takes the reader up to the razor's edge of what can legally be known. Based on dozens of new interviews with military and civilian experts who have built the weapons, been privy to the response plans, and taken responsibility for crucial decisions, this is the only account of what a nuclear war exchange would look like. Nuclear war is at once a compulsive non-fiction thriller and a powerful argument that we must rid ourselves of these world-ending weapons forever. So yes, we do live in a nuclear age, and we have done for essentially 80 years now, almost a century. But we don't live in an age where we necessarily fear nuclear war quite as much as we once did. The Cold War, for the most part, is long over, and that's a good thing, you know, because we came awfully close to nuclear exchanges on a couple of occasions, if not more. But nevertheless, you know, I thought this would be an interesting read, you know, as a counterpart to another couple of the books that I have read. So we've got a quote here from Winston Churchill: the story of the human race is war. Except for a brief and precarious interlude, there has never been peace in the world, and before history began, murderous strife was universal and unending. Which is, there's a lot to take in there. So we've got the table of contents. Begin with an author's note. And a full list of the interviews as well, and basically, you know, who the author is talking to, and a prologue. Essentially, this is presumably how it might happen, beginning the story, and we've actually got some excerpts from official publications in here, some of the illustrations done, which are, you know, so typically matter of fact, and how frightening they are, and you know, and also photographs like that of declassified shots, and then we're into the top secret plan for general nuclear war. So these actually quite short chapters. They're quite sort of kind of punchy and to the point. I think that's the sort of, you know, so it kind of clips along at a pace like that. You know, 4 or 5, 6 pages and so on throughout, and it's also backed up with history lessons. So you've got section 1 here on deterrence, how it might be stopped, and then we move on to the SIOP, the Single Integrated Operational Plan for General Nuclear War, and things like notices from FEMA federal agency, can't remember what it's called, Federal Emergency Management Agency, be prepared for nuclear war, a nuclear explosion, which is, you know, the sort of like the precautions like that are as much frightening in themselves as is the fear of nuclear war. And so we really do have sort of like, you know, 4/10 after launch, these are the fears, you know, played out, you know, it's almost second by second, backed up with, you know, continued, you know, nuclear lessons, like nuclear lesson number 4, history lesson number 4, ICBM launch systems, how they designed, how they work, you know, and here we are looking at the first 24 minutes, and this is sort of like the 24 minutes of, you know, essentially the end of the world. You know, at history lesson number 5, the President's Fall, the famous, basically, briefcase-sized object in which he carries access to the nuclear codes and which is never far away from him. You know, and even sort of like we are sort of like going from location to location. So here we are, you know, just sort of 17 minutes, 30 seconds into the event, in the White House. And then 18 minutes National Military Command Center, the Pentagon, and so on. And then history lesson number 6 is on nuclear armed submarines and how they launch their missiles. And that's actually quite a lengthy history lesson in comparison to sort of like some of the sections in the book, and I'm sort of reminded of this and sort of like in its timeline structure. There's a book a couple of years that I say a couple of years, we are going back to pre-pandemic, about the possibility of a war upon the Korean peninsula, which was played out minute by minute sort of thing. Quite a short book, and it was quite interesting because we were all quite fascinated by the book at work. I took it in for people to read because essentially I said, you should read this because, hey, I work for a company with Korean clients, you know, yeah, so switching back and forth, White House to other command facilities, and what might happen, and then you know, out other areas of the country. We're almost 35 minutes after the disaster, and more. You know, we even switched to the National Defense Management Center in Moscow, in Russia as well. So it's quite, you know, encompassing. You know, almost there is a bureaucracy. There is obviously a bureaucracy and you know, a step-by-step process to it, and it's just going through it bit by bit, minute by minute. History number 8, radiation sickness and how that affects you, and that's where the horror begins. You know, it's almost, you know, you are the people who are left behind to suffer the effects of what of the war. And then 45 minutes later, we cut to, you know, a underground bunker in Siberia, Russia. Just how many people are going to be left alive at that point. It's a frightening thing. Part 4, the next and final 24 minutes. Essentially, yeah, probably quite. It's a fascinatingly grim subject. I have to be honest. Say switching back and forth. Next history's lesson. I have no idea what apes on a treadmill. Essentially, basically how the entire nuclear arms race is and always has been insanely dangerous and wasteful. Based because it's based upon monkey see, monkey do phenomenon, with participants copying one another's aggressive moves and getting absolutely nowhere, like unintelligent beasts. Yeah, so apes on a treadmill, if you see what I mean. Likely nuclear strikes. Map of those, and this is only on the US. And then we're finally day 0 after the bomb stop, and that's yeah. So that's fairly short, but that mercifully, we do have a section on notes. And a bibliography, and the index. Quick note about the author, who also has her own blurb on the inside fly cover. So yeah, that is Nuclear War, a scenario, a decidedly frightening book. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see typically me out here with a box that usually contains a book or game or role-playing supplement, in this case a frightening history book, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice little cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.